Okay, in this video I'm going to do chapter 6 and 7 from my new book, Underground Guide to Study Skills. And so just a little bit about like what it's like to adjust to college when you're really not that well prepared. So Stanford, has this image of being such a fun place. It's beautiful, California. The students are so polite. They seem so together and happy. But what's really going on is something called Stanford duck syndrome. Above the water, they act pleasant and cheerful and serene like a duck. But below the water, they're paddling like mad. I knew I was really sort of below average of a student over there. So I took a class called How to College, for students having problems. They told us stuff like, you need to take good notes, study every day, be organized, turn your assignments in on time. I was like, my grandmother could tell me that, no shit. But I still liked the class. I sort of gave me confidence that I wasn't the worst student on campus. There were all these clueless, jocks, miscellaneous loser musician types in the same room. We all looked like a bunch of misfits, the island of misfit toys. So that gave me a little confidence that, everybody wasn't valedictorian over there. On the weekends, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know anyone. All I did was study all the time until I couldn't take it anymore. Then I would, work out, do my laundry or something, eat, but it was very lonely. I never have been so lonely in my life. I never knew loneliness like that. And it wasn't like it was going to get better this weekend or get better the next month. It was never going to get better, and it never did. Well, it got a little bit better when I joined a fraternity. That was better, but I never had a girlfriend in 4 years at Stanford. I'm telling you, it's unbelievable how ugly the girls are. There are no parties practically. You could maybe have a party once every 3 months. The social life is so bad there. I can't even explain how bad it is. It was the worst. And I was very afraid. I got injured in wrestling. I was sad about that. My girlfriend's going to dance with some other guy. I don't know if I could wrestle. I'm afraid I'm going to flunk out. It really sucked. I sort of felt like life was, everything was taken away from me. My family was taken away from me because I was far away. My friends are taken away from me because I'm far away. My girlfriend's taken away from me. My great athletic ability is now taken away from me. And I don't know if I've got academic ability to make it. So anyways, like I said, I had decided I'm going to put everything into it. Everything I have, every last drop of energy, every last red blood cell in my body, I'm going to devote it towards trying to become a better student. And my first semester I got all B's, okay, B minuses. I only took easy classes. I didn't take a single difficult class, but I still couldn't get an A no matter how much I worked nonstop studying. But the second quarter, it's on the quarter system instead of the semester system. So there's 3 quarters in a regular school year, and then summer's another quarter. Second semester, I got all B's and 1 A minus. So I finally got an A minus, and even though, whoop-de-doo, that was a big deal to me. They're like, wow, I can get an A minus at Stanford. Luckily, I found a mentor person, a guy named Jay Ream, who was an old high school classmate. He's the guy who had been to my high school, but we didn't live in the same dorm. They didn't allow us to live in the same dorm. And he's a really brilliant guy. He's got, I think, more intrinsic smarts than I do. He was getting A pluses in math, physics, engineering type classes. I'm like, holy crap, how did you pull that off? So I went to talk to him and ask him, if he could help me. And that's what you want to do. You want to find somebody who's good at what you want to do. So here's chapter 7 now. And Jay said his secret of becoming a great student was condensed notes. And, I don't even know what the heck he's talking about. In high school, I never even took an honors class. So for condensed notes, all that he means is that he just takes a spiral notebook and he summarizes everything important in the class page by page. It turns out for condensed notes, it depends on the subject what you want to use. If the teacher has a good syllabus, make your condensed notes in the syllabus. If the textbook for the class is good and the teacher goes by that, make it in the textbook. If you don't have any book, I like outline format books if you can buy one, or outline format review book with an index in it. And then use that, whatever. You just have to analyze what's going to give me the best source of condensed notes. And what are condensed notes all about? They're a way to have all the information in one place. You can even put them on a computer. Make sure you back it up, though, on another external hard drive or thumb drive or something. But you want all the information where you can quickly find it. Because what I see happen is rookie students, they go into chaos the last couple of weeks before finals because their material's all over the place. They don't have it all organized. But a really good student has all their information in one place in condensed notes, and they can quickly go through everything. They can quickly find everything. And you sort of begin with the end in mind. The midterms is just a prelude to a quiz and a midterm are just a prelude to the final exam, perhaps to a later on standardized exam like your boards exam or your MCAT or whatever. So everything's always organized. You always know where it is. Like I'll do the question books, preparing for a quiz, and then I'll do the question books again, preparing for midterm. So by the time I've gotten to finals, I'll be going through the question books for the third time. And by the time I get to the standardized test, going through the question books for at least the fourth time or the fifth time, because I'll have reviewed them again later on when those topics come up. So I'm constantly just building up the knowledge and making sure this is in a sense a knowledge management system, so you don't lose that information. Nonsense learning, like in junior high or something, they have you do a vocabulary list of words and then you lose everything, you forget everything. But when you're like studying a specific field, pre-med or some other field, you want to constantly be accumulating the information and organizing it, and you don't want to lose it. You want it all right there so you can go back and review it and you've got it. Okay, so when I first saw Jay making all his condensed notes, I'm like, isn't that a lot of work? And Jay said, no, it makes you more efficient. I keep refining my condensed notes. And before the exams, I just go over my notes. I don't even need to look at the textbook. In the long run, it saves me time. Plus, you're also analyzing the material. Is this worth putting in my condensed notes? How can I remember this long term? You're interacting with it. It's a much more active way to study. Okay, and you have to be organized, and you have to start doing it right from the beginning of the semester or the quarter so that you'll be able to keep up. And I said, do you want to take some classes with me so I can copy your condensed notes? And Jay said, no. You have to make your own condensed notes, because in the process of making your notes, as you're working through the material and organizing it, deciding what to include and what to exclude, you develop your own system of abbreviations and memory methods. You interact with the material, and that gets you to remember it more. You're engaged in processing the material. Jay said it helps you to draw stuff out. Like I like to draw out chemical structures to better understand them. I saw his condensed notes, and he had all kinds of drawings throughout his condensed notes, so I started doing that as well. I like to draw out what's actually happening in a physics problem, such as the objects in motion or in an electrical circuit, so I can better picture it and understand. And I was like, but Jay, you're a genius. I'm just a dumb jock. I mean, how's this going to work for me? Jay's like, this is universal to all mankind. Everybody learns when they write stuff out, when they spend time analyzing the material, when they draw pictures of it. And I'm like, well, thanks, man. You're giving me hope. Maybe someday I can get an A in a real science class. I hadn't really taken a real science class yet. I was scared. I was going to flunk out. Okay, so that's summer. Anyways, third quarter, freshman year at Stanford, after I started using all of Jay's study skills tricks and the ones I had learned in my How to College class and reading on my own, I was starting now to start studying study skills and figuring out how to be successful. I went and I got straight A's in every class my third quarter at Stanford, and that included science classes. So it's like, there's no change in my brain. This is what I meant by you can increase your academic IQ. So I went from my first quarter, afraid I'm going to flunk out with all B minuses, to getting A's. Okay, that summer in calculus, A plus. I just crushed it. And then from there on out, I got straight A's in every pre-med class as far as I can remember, including A pluses. I got A pluses in the most difficult classes, organic chemistry and biology, total weed out classes. The California valedictorians from like my freshman dorm, they were dropping out like flies. Out of my freshman dorm, there were 12 pre-meds, and only 4 of us got into med school, which also I think was a little bit ridiculous because they were all really good students. And I think if you're having trouble in college, it's worthwhile to go to an easier college. Because when I got to medical school, there were lots of kids who had gone to junior college the first 2 years, had gone to little local commuter colleges. Why not? Why go to some place like Stanford that's super expensive when they're probably just going to weed you out rather than go to an easy school, save a lot of money, and have a higher grade point average, focus on the MCAT, crush the MCAT, and you're into med school. Okay, you don't need to go to a fancy place. This is an example, this picture here, of what condensed notes look like. So this is in the back line of an outline format review book. This was actually what I used for when I was in residency in radiology. But you can see here, highlight some notes. It's an outline format, stuff's easy to find. It has a good index at the back of the book. I put Post-its in there to add information to it. I was using color-coded highlighters at that time. These little boxes here, I would cross-reference it to other books. So again, I could find everything quick because you have a big knowledge management system for a lot of information. And this is a way you can get through everything quick. A lot of times now what I do, I just make a word processing file on my computer for a subject I'm interested in, like for diabetes, for neurodegeneration, for hypertension, whatever. And I'll also make extended PowerPoint talks and keep adding slides. Like when I give a talk on PowerPoint, I might show 100 slides in a talk, but I've really got 400, 500 slides just to decide what to choose from. For condensed notes in college, I liked spiral notebooks for organic chemistry, class syllabus for biology, And later on I used all sorts of things, textbooks, whatever just worked for that class. So anyways, that's it for condensed notes. I hope that was helpful.